Okay, the agenda tonight is first, we're going to review the minutes. We'll sign a continuation for the Plank Moriarty application. We're going to do an RDA review for 374 Wilbraham Road, and then we will get to the ANRAD. Okay, I'm going to open no, we're going to review the minutes first.
Review minutes.
These are the minutes of the meeting on September 21st. Sure. Does anybody have any changes? Amendments, additions?
No.
All in favor of approving the minutes as written?
Aye.
All opposed? Oh. All right, the next case is 374. I'm sorry, the Plank Moriarty case at 00 Stafford Road. We're waiting for a MISA letter, which she hasn't received yet. She's already signed a continuation to 10/19, our regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions about that case? Is anybody here to speak about that? Okay. Take a motion.
Continue until 10/19.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh. So you want to continue? It's in next month?
Oh, what I said. wrong month.
Oh, yeah, November 16th. I'm
No,
sorry.
November
I
16th.
just-
Today is 19.
That's the motion.
11/16, I'm sorry.
Make the motion again.
I make the motion to continue to 11/16.
I will second it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
You said today and I
Yes,
just read it right back.
the motion is passed. All right, and we'll close that hearing. And now we're going to open the hearing for 374 Wilbraham Road. And I'm recused because I'm a neighbor. Are you
Yeah.
going to do this?
Yeah, sure. So Ted and I did visit this site and found the stream, which is. But it's not flowing. There's no water in it. We saw some standing water in a couple places. But it's behind the house. You have pictures? Or a map or something? It flows behind the house. But under her yard. In a pipe, clay pipe. I don't know, probably 6 or 8 inch pipe.
That shows standing water. It's not a lot, but it's there.
Oh, well.
This is the pipe that runs under their property.
There, yeah. So on the north side, I couldn't find the opening to the pipe to flow in because it's all overgrown. But this is the south end of it. And then from there, it goes down and then goes towards the street and then under the street to the other side.
This is the flow. You can see the exposed rocks. That's where the stream flowed.
Yeah, there's definitely a channel there where the stream was or is, or
This is water right here. So even in the drought. Water.
So what were they looking to do with this again?
she is looking to sell parts of her property on both sides of where the house is.
It's a large lot, we subdivided into three, left and right, she's gonna keep the center.
Okay,
Left side is gonna go to an adjacent house, it's just gonna be additional buffer. The right side, which is south, is gonna be a building.
Okay.
And that's where this is, where the pictures I showed are all on the south building side, south side building lot side.
And it's only what, 30, 40 feet from the road? Back, set
Yeah.
back from the
There
road,
is-
so
so
anything built will have to go way back. And it was a hill back here.
so then obviously there's stuff there, so they'd have to
Yeah.
get an NOI if they want to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what we told her.
So we're waiting on
so
Well, we have to vote that
we have to vote on the RDA, right?
on the RDA and
Oh.
declare it as one way or the other.
And didn't find any other wetland in the back.
We,
Or anything built would have to go.
the map shows one way up on the
Yeah,
left north side, but we didn't find it, but it was totally overgrown, so.
yeah.
Maybe, when they come back with an RDA. Do a second.
Yeah,
second
after
review.
vegetation has died down a little bit.
So this is gonna be a,
Andrew, I did put in everybody's file, the, site inspection findings, and then attached to the, findings was, one of the pictures showing.
Which
the-
is
yeah,
that one
which
right
is that one there,
picture
yep.
there.
I'm just looking here, so this would become a, they do this right, a positive determination, would it be a
Yeah.
number one? Right, the area described on the reference plans, which would be the whole lot. And it is in an area subject to protection under the act, removing, filling, dredging, or altering of the area requires the filing of a notice of intent.
Sounds right.
All right,
Is that a motion?
I'll make that a motion now. Now that I get the right one. Second motion. So who's running the meeting right now?
Oh, everybody in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Okay. That. Close the hearing on that.
Thank you. Here it is. There's two copies to sign, so she can. You ready to give her one? She don't know if you should give it. It's going around.
Oh, this is the extension?
Yeah.
And what about the,
It's coming.
Where's the signature?
It's in the middle.
You send your pen with that?
Oh, right here. I'm looking for our name, user name.
I never have one.
Use them.
I don't, yeah. I need to go to work.
Okay, now we're going to reopen the hearing for 530 Glendale Road. And I want to remind people, here, do you want to come up, Rory? About, an ANRAD, and what an ANRAD is, it's different from, when we have an NOI, then somebody's proposing, specific work on a property, with a specific, limit of intrusion and that sort of thing. This is not at that point yet. That's down the road. This is just, an ANRAD is just an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. And so the whole point of it is just to very specifically define exactly what jurisdictional wetlands are on the property. And it's a big property and it's very complicated wetlands. So it has taken a long time. But we're nowhere near the work part of it or any of that. So if you have questions about what size the panels will be or whether they'll come from China or how much the noise will be, that's not relevant to this. It's relevant to the next part of the process. Okay. Okay, so we got after the submission of the last set of maps and delineations, we had a follow-up peer review, a second peer review by Raina Belofsky from Ty and Bond. Raina, do you want to tell us?
Sure. Hi, good evening, everybody. Raina Velosky with Ty and Bond. I'm out of the Middletown, Connecticut office. I am a professional wetland scientist and certified professional soil scientist. We received the revised plans. I went out into the field to review the revised wetland delineation areas where we had noted a discrepancy. And I can show you what we saw. So the delineation is, okay. So the delineation, the revised delineation was concurrent with what we had found, what we had observed in the field. So the areas revised. So this is an isolated wetland up here. It did not meet the town area for jurisdiction, and it also did not meet the Wetland Protection Act. Let me see. The Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, as it's not a BVW. This intermittent stream was delineated, the center line. There is, so I'll just put the arrows where we're looking. This blue line right here, and another intermittent stream, this intermittent stream were delineated. The line here was adjusted. It had come over here straight down. It was moved in. This area was brought out towards the barn to include a wet meadow. This area over here was brought up closer to the road to include some hydric soils. This stream had been identified as intermittent, but is now changed to a perennial stream. It was the bank. The mean annual high water was adjusted north of the road, and then it was relabeled on the other side. Some additional items. The legend had this line, the BVW edge line, as a different line type, so that was changed. I'm just trying to see. So the delineation is, we concur with the delineation. Now, there were just a few items that still needed to be addressed, and they were, so now on the site plan, it says, oh, I don't know why I stopped sharing. Share this again. Hold on.
I'm seeing you.
I'm sorry. Do you see the plan sheet now?
Yes.
Okay. So it says inner riparian zone and outer riparian zone, we suggest that be changed to the 200 foot riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zones, which are labeled. So 100-foot riparian zone and 200-foot riparian zone, if they could be relabeled in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act.
Raina, can you explain that to the people a little bit, what it means?
Oh, sure. So those are the jurisdictional areas that the Wetland Protection Act has. So 200, it's a 200-foot area from the boundary of the watercourse, from the mean annual high water is the 200-foot. And then from the wetland edge, it's 100-foot from the bordering vegetated wetland. So it's just the jurisdictional area that if any work is in there, it's reviewed. And then,
Edward, should we just clarify it? So if anything is done outside of that area, it doesn't come to us on any other projects?
Is your mic on?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, that's only going to them.
okay.
Yeah, it's just going to there, not.
So does anybody have any questions so far about what she's describing? Okay, what they did was they've put out essentially little flags all over the entire property. That's what those colored lines depict. And they depict the wetlands, the streams, the buffer protection areas from the streams and from the wetlands, and any other significant things that might be jurisdictional, that might be under our jurisdiction. So if and when they file this other document that I was talking about, the NOI, and any of the work is in any of those areas, then we can review that work and try to minimize the damage to those areas. Okay, continue.
So, and sorry, and the legend bit is just not defined, either remove it or define. One of the leaders is in the wrong, just kind of floating out. So this is a more zoomed in view. If you look at this map, it's broken up into different sections. So we're just zooming into a section. It has more detail. Find the flag. Oh, here it is. Wetland flag B20 is kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere. I did see the flag in the correct location out in the field. So it just needs to be changed on the plans. And then the flag numbers on the plans for this intermittent water course are missing. So they're just dots right now. So there's no flag number leaders. Okay, and then, sorry, I'm just like whizzing around. You probably make everybody car sick. All right, and then on some of the additional submission materials, we noticed that on the data form, it wasn't on the soil description, it was identified as a redoxamorphic, just a model. It needs to be identified as a concentration or a depletion. The hydric soil indicators were not provided. There was no record of recent or historical site disturbance. That would be important for see how disturbed it's been. And then there is no corresponding data sheet for the GC 300 series. So I can show you where that is. That's this wetland series up here. So that was the 300 line. So those are the discrepancies for the data forms and site photographs documenting the existing conditions would be helpful. So that is all we have for our review.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rory, do you have any questions?
Could you please unmute Nick? Nick will have. a comment.
Unmute Nick.
He
Oh,
can-
he did. He's all set. Hi, Nick.
Hi, everybody. So for the record, Nick Fastendola, Level Design Group. Yeah, we went through all of Raina's comments and, plan changes, very minor. I guess the only one question I have would be for the riverfront zones. So I'll be labeling those 100-foot riverfront area and 200-foot riverfront area. Because you had said 100-foot buffer.
It's
I
the
don't-
one, it's the 100-foot buffer zone to, yeah, it's the 100-foot buffer zone for bordering vegetated wetland, and it's a 200-foot riverfront area.
Yeah, we typically show 100 and 200-foot
Mhm.
zones for the riverfront.
Yes,
Because
all of the above.
there's different thresholds for work in the 100-foot versus the 200-foot. So that's why I'm showing both.
Right.
Yes.
So it would be 100-foot riverfront and 200-foot riverfront.
Mhm.
And then-
And within that, there is also a little bit of 100-foot buffer from the wetland is what she's saying.
Yeah,
So
well,
there's
that's,
3 things.
yeah, but that says 100-foot buffer. I mean, do you want me to write?
Yes, correct.
I don't know what Raina wants me to write on the plan.
So you need the 200-foot riverfront area, the 100-foot buffer zone, and then the town. The town also has their buffers. So yeah, there's 3.
Yes, I hear that, but those are shown. If you go back to the plan, it says 100-foot buffer. And
Yes,
then
but
in the legend, it says 100-foot buffer zone.
it
don't know.
says riparian zone. It just needs to say buffer.
On the,
I can show you. Yeah, I can show you
on the plan, or is that just, I'm just trying to
On the-
make sure.
on the plan. Hold on.
All right, pull it up.
So I have it. I don't know. Can you see? So it
So
says,
so the riparian zones are the 100 and 200-foot distances from the mean annual high water line. I called them riparian zone. You want them to say riverfront area, correct?
the 200-foot riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone.
Now, we call that the riverfront area as well. But
Yeah,
the buffer from
so-
the wetland is still called buffer.
Correct. So I'm going to keep it the way as Judy said. So it's going to say 100-foot riverfront area, 200-foot riverfront area, and I'm going to leave 100-foot buffer, which if you look at the legend, it refers to 100-foot buffer to the bordering vegetative wetland, or 100-foot. I can say 100-foot buffer to BVW. I mean, would that clarify it?
Sure.
Pretty straightforward, but I'll add that to the legend.
Yeah, so you just have to change the riparian zone.
Correct, yes. I'll make those say 100-foot and 200-foot riverfront areas. Judy, are you good with that? Calling
Yes,
100-foot,
perfect.
200-foot riverfront areas and then
That'd be great.
100-foot buffer zone?
Yep.
Okay, good. But yeah, that's all, that was the only question I had. The rest is all relatively straightforward. I spoke to our folks over at Goddard, and they will be putting together the data forms for the 300 series and just buttoning up any of those minor discrepancies that you had noted with the hydric soil indicators and noting whether it's a concentration or depletion for their redox observations for those areas.
Nick, do you know if they can do it by the 2nd of November? Is it reasonable to set that
Oh,
date?
yeah, they'll do it by the 2nd of, yeah, it's very straightforward. It's just essentially going through their notes and just cleaning up the notations on the forms. And I'll have all the plan changes done well before that too, with the notes on the plan and the legend and that that one random flag note. Sorry about that. I missed that one. Yeah, that's all very straightforward. We don't have any issues with any of that stuff.
Okay, Rory?
I have no comments. My one thing to the board is that since there's no substantive changes at all, just a few comments, and with Raina's permission, could the board vote tonight on it with adding the conditions that Raina has talked about?
Well, I did add them into our draft, but we can't vote on the draft and then change it. So we can't take out the omissions after we voted. So we need to wait until we actually can remove them. Until everything's set, because what we're voting on is the map as it is and all the descriptions as they are. So we can't vote ahead of time and then say, yeah, we'll fix it. It has to be done. So it gives us 2 weeks, but he says he can do it, so. All the commission members already have the draft I sent you, which is essentially already written. I'm just going to take out the parts that say except for the issue areas. And it will be exactly what you're already holding. Any other additions, Raina? Did you want to say anything else?
No, it's, this was a very good, revision with just some minor alterations that need to go forward.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any other questions?
Pertinent.
Yes.
Darla Ivanpoli on 564 Glendale Road. The two streams that they had identified in June. How were those determined intermittent when we were in a drought?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
was
Actually,
flowing water.
one of them, they originally labeled as intermittent. They've now accepted it as perennial because they can't
Correct.
make it intermittent in a drought.
Right.
The other one,
Isn't that the same for the other two streams that were identified?
the ones that were just identified?
Yes.
No, it's only to convert, you can't convert a perennial stream to being called an intermittent stream during a drought. But if it's obviously an intermittent stream when it's first delineated, then it can stay that. And there's other criteria like whether or not it shows up on a USGS map and all that sort of stuff.
Vegetation.
Right, which those two don't,
vegetation.
I understand, correct?
They actually do, but all the other reasons lead us to believe they are intermittent streams. So there's no contention that they don't have to be proved to be intermittent. They already were defined that way.
So they're defined intermittent, and they're gonna stay that way. There will be no other review in this.
The only thing that could happen is next year, if it's very, very rainy and they can find 4 days when the stream that got changed to perennial is actually dry and they can take photographs and document it and blah, 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 they can come back to us and try to have it declared intermittent. So they can change it back because we believe it's perennial, but they have to prove that it's not.
Mhm.
If they could prove it, they could come back and ask for that change.
She's asking mainly about
Right.
two
I'm
perennial,
asking
the
like
two
the
intermittent.
reverse.
Yeah,
The other two that are intermittent.
are they
No.
intermittent because it's a drought and not
No, they're not intermittent because it's a drought. They were already intermittent
before the drought?
before the drought, all the time on all the maps.
Right, but when Ty and Bond went out and reviewed that, wasn't it determined that there was 2 to 4 inches in flowing water?
Yeah, but it also has to do with the catchment area and a bunch of other things. Do you want it to speak to that, Rena?
Yes, so here I can share this I should just leave the map up. I don't know why I keep sharing it. Okay, so are you just talking about these intermittent water courses over here?
Yes.
Okay, so those were always intermittent water course. The one that we were discussing between perennial and intermittent, that as if they go back out and there's 4 days of no flow, not during a drought condition, it's just this water course or stream over here. That was the only one that we were discussing, that we believe it's perennial.
Yes, I agree with that.
But not, these have always been intermittent water courses, and those aren't going to change. This one is also, the dark blue are perennial streams. Light blue are intermittent.
That's Eastbrook over on the right-hand side.
So that will not be reviewed again. They will, they're.
The intermittent streams? No,
Intermittent.
no. Anything else? Yes.
Hi, Gina Stabillo, Ames Road. Two questions. Everything that's going to be resubmitted, the data forms and all that stuff, that's going to be reviewed by Ty and Bond, I'm assuming, right?
No, they've already been, everything's been
No, I'm
resubmitted.
talking about the fact that they're missing, they want to do another data form for the 300 series.
Yeah.
All that stuff, is Rena going to review that as well to make sure it's correct?
No,
No?
it's only one data form. We're competent to read one and see. If
Even
there
the
were
other-
items that were of issue, I could scan it and send it to her and say, does this mean what I think it means? But otherwise, no.
Okay. When she talks about historical, if I can find it, recent or historical site disturbance, what exactly does she mean by that? For proof?
Rena?
So if there's just like what has happened, if they've seen areas of digging. I mean, there's been agriculture on the property. There was a horse rink, the barn, just talking about the history of the property and what has previously been disturbed. It's not going to affect where the wetlands are at this time. It's just a way to see that, you know, it's already been disturbed. So disturbing it is probably not going to, it's not going to impact the property additionally.
Okay.
So it's just nice to record. It's just good to have that recorded.
Okay, and my last question is, the map, once it's finalized, is valid for 3 years.
Yes,
Okay, if they go in, to the property owner says, I'm gonna buy my neighbor's property and combine it in. If the map at all changes, the property line changes, is the map gonna have to be reviewed again, or is that map still considered finalized?
this map is finalized.
Okay,
This map holds for 3 years and they can get extensions of a year to 3 years. So they could theoretically go to 6 years.
okay, so even if they were to add to the property and the lines were to change, this map is still okay?
Yeah, they'd have to have the stuff outside the property done.
Okay,
And in fact, not all of the adjoining property where the access road goes in has been done, just the parts that are very near the road.
right,
So if something odd happened that they had to do farther out, they would also have to review that property.
okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, your name? Just so she can get it in a minute.
You know when the intermittent streams were established? Like how long ago, when were they established? Were they established during a drought? How do we know that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear the question.
She's asking how do we know when the intermittent streams were established?
They determined.
Oh, I see.
When they were,
Originally determined to be intermittent.
There are USGS maps from like 1885. And one of the places people look to see if things were mapped out is on those old USGS maps.
yeah, that, and you can also do stream stats and look at watersheds. that will help determine the the type of water course it is. So these have been, that has been established for a long time. The perennial stream was just in question as the topographic map did not distinguish between the two. And it fits the definition of a perennial stream.
So when exactly was that one established? Those two,
Which two?
the two in question.
The two intermittents?
Yeah.
They,
Oh,
sh-
You can't give an exact date, can
she
you?
doesn't know.
No.
They show up on orthos going pretty far back. They've been there a while. You can see the cuts in the tree lines and things like that. There's a lot of ways they can go back and look at it. But what they care about the most is what she was talking about. There are things called stream stats. There's a very complex program where they basically put in this stream, and it looks at all the drainage and where the drainage is coming from, how large that drainage is, what kind of soils are underneath the stream. It's pretty complex. And all those things go into that determination.
Yeah,
Marina?
that is correct. Sorry, I don't have anything to add to that, but yes, that is correct.
Yes,
I have a question that I don't understand at all. My question is, if you disturb an intermittent stream in any way, it may become a perennial stream. And things change as you disturb the land. Because I know.
it would be very unusual. I can't imagine how that would happen. However, even intermittent streams have a protective area. They have a buffer. It's just not as big as a perennial stream. Perennial stream has 200 feet from the mean annual high water line, or the top of the bank, all the way out in parallel, all the way along it. Intermittent streams just have small, like 100-foot buffers and wetlands. So there are two. The one on the left that crosses that driveway, that's a perennial stream. And East Brook is a perennial stream. All the ones in light blue are intermittent streams. There's also a tiny intermittent stream, I believe, up at the upper right-hand corner. It doesn't go across the property, but the buffer to it does. So it has wetlands, and then those wetlands have a buffer that reaches into the property. They actually do map things that are nearby on the property and extend into it. Anything else? Okay, I move that, somebody should make the motion. Huh? I can do it. Okay, I move that we continue. Oh, I should wait. First, I should ask, do any commission members have any questions about the draft itself?
No.
That went out?
No.
Okay. I move that we continue this to what will probably be our final meeting on the ANRAD on November 7th.
Judy, can I throw in one thing? I apologize.
Yep.
So on the draft, I would just recommend that there be no language, kind of tying this to any proposed project. I mean, there is one section I saw on the first page about where a likely driveway may be. So, I just recommend that you guys kind of go through the draft and just essentially keep it to the delineation, as this is strictly an ANRAD, and not have any discussion within the decision about future projects or presumed access. I think you called it presumed access road.
Access road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just
We can
Just
change
as a-
that wording.
Yeah, I would just leave it out, to be honest. I mean, it has nothing to do with the. with
Well,
the
we're going to
NRAD.
speak to the driveway because there are delineations around it for a reason. And we need to say there's a driveway.
There's an
We can't
existing,
not mention
Yeah.
the driveway and
It's-
make any sense of having gone onto the other property to make delineations. So we do have to speak to it, but I will try to not make it refer to future projects.
all right, that's the only main item I picked up on in the decision. Yeah, we'll go through the rest on the second,
Yes,
correct? Okay. Thank you.
okay. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay. Where's the continuation sheet? I know I brought one. Oh, yeah, we just did. We voted to continue to the second. Okay, the hearing's closed. We need to sign that document if I can find it. I'm gonna kill myself by taking it out early. What did I do with it? I have to find the continuation form. The continuation form, so Rory can sign it. No, I know I had brought two with me. I just have to figure out what I did with them. I put all this extra stuff from the folder in there. I don't see them. I made 2 copies too. Right. I'll have a blank. We'll just choose the blank. Is yours or mine?
those are mine.
I literally had duplicate forms, but I don't know what I did with them. I don't seem to be right now. No, we'll email it to you. We'll just get you to
wait a
sign
minute.
it and email it. Because I
It
can't
doesn't-
find that. I had 2 forms and I
It
don't.
doesn't matter, take them if you have to.
No, it's not these. It's just that. Okay, on November 2nd, we have several cases coming up on Chapin Road. And Bonnie, do you want to speak to any of those?
Not at this point. One is a request for determination and one is a notice of intent on Chapin, and they're both for house lots.
So we will be having probably 2 site visits together before the next meeting on Chapin Road.
Yeah, I sent a thing out already to the members asking them
Yeah,
this
Right.
weekend or next weekend.
Yep.
would be the best.
that's what those are.
Saturday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the 2 lots are, they're almost together. There's just a house between them.
Oh,
So
okay.
it'll be really easy.
Yeah, okay.
to-
Okay. Any other questions before we close the meeting? That would be in the NOI. Which would be this other process I was talking about. That's a whole notice of intent. And in a standard NOI, as opposed to an ANRAD, they they would take this map and they would put on it where they want to build particular things. Where would any battery storage be? Where
Oh,
would the roads
She's
be?
talking about the tree cutting.
Anything like that. And if there's planned tree cutting in order to put stuff there, there is a percentage of trees being removed that would spark the need for a wildlife habitat assessment. That's one place where we have say. So if they're cutting a lot of trees, then they have to do a habitat assessment to see what things they might be disturbing. And that's part of the information we take in making the final decision. What?
You volunteer to be NOI.
Yes, it's not in this one, it's in the other one. We can't just say we don't like them cutting trees, but we do have guidelines. DEP also has very specific guidelines about what percentage of trees they think should be cut for a solar project. People don't always follow them, but we have that choice. Mhm.
So next, meeting, you're gonna review all the stuff they're gonna submit in the next meeting. And you're gonna take a vote.
Yes,
So, are in between then and now, can we submit questions, to you, pertinent to this, and to be answered?
if they have to do with where the wetlands are, what the wetlands are, how they determined what they are, any of those things, yes.
Right, because being lay people, like we are, and not as knowledgeable, it's hard to comprehend all of this when we get it like not even one day before this.
Well,
meeting, and
it's
I-
important to recognize that these meetings have been going on since February 2nd. That we've had, I don't know how many meetings, like a dozen.
Thank
Um,
God.
So there's been a lot of information out there. And there's been information at each separate meeting about what was being done and how. So I don't mind explaining it, but it's asking a lot to ask for all the methods and that sort of thing. They're pretty hairy. But I will try to answer what I can.
That's why we have Ty and Bond. They're the expert that's representing you in effect. They're our expert.
Yes.
Judy, it may ask a question. Is the public aware that the applicant paid like $13,000 to have time bond, which is like more than I would say any other municipality in the state was charged? This has been 270 plus days, which
It's a
is
very
far
complex
longer than
property.
any other municipality would ever take, even close to Boston. This is like the extreme of,
I
of
disagree
bizarre.
with that, but it is an extreme, as you saw from the maps, it's a very complex property. There are separate wetlands that come in for essentially all the corners. But he's right. The applicant is required to pay the consultants an adequate fee that they charge. They essentially charge by the hour for all the different things that we asked them. And it was like a 2-page list of things that we wanted them to review. So they have spent a lot of time, and that's why we're going through they submit stuff and then we evaluate it and move it around. Then we go to the site and then we move things more. Then the peer review comes through, they discuss it and they move things more. And then they had a follow-up peer review. And now they're providing the final set of stuff, but it's been February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So 9-10 months. 9 months, I guess. And we've met sometimes once or twice every month. So there's been a lot of reviewing of details.
Then it all starts again when they do
Yeah.
a NOI.
When they want to actually do any work there, it's a whole another thing all over again.
Afterward, there'll be planning board meetings and
Yeah, the people who have, I do feel necessary to say the people who have more freedom in the kinds of decisions, they could say, we don't think this belongs here. or we don't think it's gonna look good for the neighborhood, or whatever other things. Those are not things we are able to do. We can only do things to protect the wetlands themselves. The planning board and the select board have those options. So you should go to the planning board and the select board, or write them letters or whatever, if those are the kind of things you're concerned about. We
Even the
can't-
fire department has to review it.
Yeah,
Question.
yeah, yes, yes. Yes, well, the drainage itself has not been assessed, but it was part of our, it is in our determination that we feel the river, the left-hand stream is perennial. Because there is a strong possibility that some drainage is interfered with from that. Additional drainage. It's not really a mountainside to start with. It's pretty flat.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't put horse tracks where it's all sloping. It's flat.
Stu, there was an article in a newspaper which was factually pretty inaccurate, but that is what I'm sure a lot of people saw and why they're here today.
Yeah. There are some sloped areas on the property. The track is flat because horses don't like. And way back in, I think 85, 86, there was drainage put under the track. When Ty and Bond started out, before they actually looked at the property, they went through all the old historical documents, including a court case that there was about dirt being put in that stream, and all the building of the track and all of that stuff. And so all of that is in their awareness in advising us on different things that we should consider.
I will get.
So I will say that they are aware of those things. I have no idea. This isn't about what they're building.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
only about
just
wetlands and
about
flood.
wetlands.
We could build low-income housing, correct? Or skyscraper.
Yes,
Excellent.
Question, you spoke earlier about how the determination of the intermittent streams and the other streams were made by the USG electric survey years ago.
she didn't catch your name.
Thank you.
You know when the last time the USG electric survey had actually done measurements of the stream locations?
There are relatively new maps that are from 2021. And they do show on those.
And also their consultants and ours, Time Bond, they also reviewed the streams this summer
Yeah,
to check to make sure.
they
that
walk
they-
them.
Yeah.
They take deep soil samples. They look at the drainage stats, all that stuff. Okay, is that it? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing. Close the
Okay.
meeting.
I'll close the meeting. Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Or did I miss somebody? Sorry.
Good, okay.
No.
I thought I saw a hand raised.
Okay,
I'll make.
thank you, Raina. Oh,
I'll
she's
make a
gone.
motion to
She's
close the
gone.
meeting.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, Lord.
Board members, I appreciate your time.
I don't know what I did with those. So, but I lost the.